Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from OurSportsDaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flammang, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uyeyama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Tuesday, November 11th. It's Veterans Day, so if you're a veteran out there listening to our show, thank you for listening, and thank you for your service. We really appreciate it. We got Remembrance Day out in Canada as well, so thank you to everyone who volunteers for our nation and keeps us safe and, does all that good stuff. Really appreciate it. It's going to be a fun show today. We're going to do our final film review of Notre Dame versus Navy. And we'll talk about, some kind of maybe the under-the-radar performances that we haven't talked too much about, both offensively and defensively. We'll get into Pitt and their football team, and then maybe the college football playoff if we can get to it. Sometimes the conversation around the game the previous week goes a little bit long, so we'll monitor that sort of thing. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. If you like what you hear, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Whichever it is, we go live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. As always, the show is brought to you by ESQ Clothing, which is founded by Notre Dame alum Ge Wang. He is Chicago's go-to for the best custom suits, shirts, and sport coats. As a reminder, again, it's the Black Friday sale that's going on right now. 49% off all online items using code ISD from now until Thanksgiving, the Black Friday sale. Well, I'm not, he says Thanksgiving. Sometimes it goes a little bit longer than that, depending on. So, but I to play it safe, I would try to get the orders in before Thanksgiving, just because you never know. It could end that Thursday or it could extend to the next week. So you want to take advantage of that. And because you have this long lead into it, you can get something for your husband, father, son, nephew, even the unlikable uncle, and you get them some style for the holidays. Known for their next-level craftsmanship using the finest fabrics, ESQ has introduced a 100% Pima cotton T-shirt to go along with its award-winning bamboo dress shirt, available for purchase online. Again, use code ISD and get the same percentage off your entire online purchases, 49% off. Code is live through Thanksgiving, not valid on custom items and gift cards. They've got showrooms both downtown Chicago and in Winnetka. So book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com. Step into confidence with Chicago's finest. We haven't really talked a lot about it, Jamie. The Navy game as far as a series. We didn't talk about it at all. So watching the game back, I put the clip on Twitter. Every defensive lineman gets cut on a pass play. Like Armel Mukum gets cut twice by the guard and then the center, which it's legal, right? Legal-ish.
It's legal, but come on.
To me, it's kind of messed up. And here's the part that people talk about the game and stuff. Notre Dame, USC is kind of low key trying to get out of the Notre Dame game because that game's a little bit too difficult, right? Navy hasn't beaten Notre Dame since 2016. Do I have that right?
Wait, yes.
Didn't play in 2020.
Yeah.
No, did they play in 2020? They didn't, right?
They didn't.
Yeah, because of the ACC thing. Didn't play in 2020. Haven't beaten Notre Dame since 2016. So the last 10 times Notre Dame has won the game. If you're going to be playing a team that's doing that kind of stuff, you got to think about not doing that. It doesn't benefit. Navy is generally pretty good, and Notre Dame doesn't really get credit for beating them, especially soundly. And it just, you don't need that. Like Boubacar Traore isn't playing the game because of that kind of specifically, in my opinion. So if that stuff's going on, you could just say, just own it and be like, it doesn't benefit us. You're winning 10 out of 10. It's no longer a game that benefits Notre Dame. The amount of time it takes to prep for it doesn't match the benefit that you
not
get
at all. I mean, you know me, Greg. I've been on this for as long as you've probably known me. They shouldn't play Navy every year, and it's because of I totally get all of the reasons why they continue to play the series. but for one, it's not the same as USC. It's not something it's not a rivalry that actually matters. Like it doesn't matter in the scope of college football. It doesn't. It really doesn't even matter to Notre Dame other than, hey, we're repaying a debt to you. That is repaid, a million times over. But it's just because of how they don't play the same kind of football that anyone else does in the country, which is also why you play Army last year and it's the 100th anniversary, or not the 100th anniversary, or whatever the anniversary of whatever game at Yankee Stadium or whatever, right? Okay, but why you should never play those? You should never play those teams because it doesn't benefit you at all. Because you have to spend you're spending extra time before the season prepping for this specific thing. You're spending part of your bye week doing that instead of one of the reasons why they weren't totally on point against Boston College is because they had to prepare extra for Navy. That's what it is, and that's just the reality of it. I get it. If they were in the AAC, then fine. Yeah, okay, that's what you're doing. They're in your conference. But all that extra stuff, and I mean, luckily nobody, at least nothing based on the the injury report that nobody got bad, except for Sean Seviano got an ankle, and I bet I didn't see the specific play when I rewatched the game, but I'm sure that it was on a cut block that it happened. So I don't know. I don't think they really should play it for many various reasons. But it doesn't really seem like they're going to get rid of it. So that's just kind of,
I just, you see that stuff and you think, why is Notre Dame doing this? Why are they doing this? It just doesn't make sense to me. But getting kind of into our final thoughts in the game, anything on offense that you wanted to kind of point out that you saw that might have gone under the radar, someone you wanted to highlight or anything like that?
I mean, it's tough because offensive line wise, because of how they play it in terms of what they were going to do, in the game where they're going to blitz a ton. You're going to overwhelm most of those guys up front. Mm-hmm. I will say just Joe Otting, I think in general played a really good game, and they have their nose guard. Landon Robinson is a good player. He's a guy who could start for a lot of teams against Notre Dame who play Notre Dame this year. Mm-hmm. And, Joe Otting did a good job handling him. So I think that was something that kind of really stood out of when you're looking for kind of positives of where he's been in his progression, in his third start. I think he's played pretty well. Right. So that's something that stood out. I think just going back and looking at Malachi Fields and Pauling and Faison, all of that is expected because those guys have done that all year. And, certainly at least a little bit KK Smith because he's shown it before too. But KK Smith getting that play, Cam Williams getting vertical and getting deep, mm-hmm. Those are all just things that I think are important. Just for guys to gain confidence, to be hey, you can put me out here and I can do it. And for the coaching staff to gain confidence in them too, right? Or even a Jack Larson making that play. Sure, it's a mean nothing kind of play in the long run of it, but it is important.
I want to point out the KK Smith play because there's a lot of Mike Brown. People don't like Mike Brown, or last year, I should say. It was a hot topic. I mean, he needs to be fired and he can't recruit and he can't coach and all these other things. On the post route, KK Smith that he scores on, it's a well-run route. And here the part about when he makes the stick onto the outside and then he cuts to the post, it's very well timed. He timed it very perfectly where the DB is kind of stemming inside of him. And I put it on Twitter, so it's a little bit more breakdown there of kind of why the DB was where he was. And the DB needs to get on top of him because of the way that Navy's is, covering the play and their coverages. And he gives a little stick outside and he widens the DB just a little bit, but the timing on it is really good. And then he gets vertical, and it's just like it's a really well run route in a way that's what you would expect from one of your top wideouts. And you got it from someone who, he's their fourth wideout now, but really he's like their fifth or sixth, because of the injuries that you've had to Jaden Greathouse and to Micah Gilbert, right? And so that kind of allows someone like KK Smith to get in the lineup. And so when you're 6 wide receivers in there running the route exactly like it needs to with the timing, with the quarterback, and he ends up getting a touchdown, like I think that sort of thing matters. And I think it's important to point out like that's a coaching thing from Mike Brown, and that's the quality of wide receiver. We talk a lot about how Notre Dame is much better at the wide receiver position. That's kind of what we mean by that. And again, it's another example of Mike Denbrock calling a game instead of calling plays. The way that he adjusted to, the missed third down where CJ Carr could have thrown the dig. Marcus Freeman talked about it. Could have thrown the dig to Jordan Faison. He didn't. But then they also saw, well, wait, if Navy's going to cover it this way, we don't even have to run this dig. We can just run a post behind it and score a touchdown. And that's what they did. And, so that, that's why Mike Denbrock's a good offensive coordinator. And that's why, they've got a good offense going on at Notre Dame right now. I want to talk a little bit about how a team is going to beat Notre Dame. They're playing Pitt, and Pitt's going to throw a bunch of pressures at Notre Dame. And the one thing that has been consistent since the Miami game is the pass protection. There's a lot of concern, but perhaps, rightly concern on the running game. The pass protection's been there kind of every week. And if there's anything that's going to trip up Notre Dame, in my opinion, from them moving the ball on offense, it's just that they allow pressures on CJ Carr, which we haven't really seen, right? Are you concerned about that going into the Pitt game? I know they like to do a bunch of things. I know teams like Boston College and teams like Navy have thrown things at Notre Dame on that front, and that they've been able to handle it. Are you concerned about that at all going into the Pitt game?
Definitely more concerned because they have linebackers that can win as pass rushers. They have their linebackers are good pass rushers. Their linebackers are actually the best pass rushers on their team. And so they really rely on the blitz. Like they need the blitz to hit home for them. They're also like, close to a 40% blitz team. They a top 10 blitz rate in all of college football. So they're going to bring it. And I don't even think it's like exotic what they do or anything like that. Like they're not doing like a lot of like crazy pressures, just like how, if you watch what they do defensively, they aren't like a super exotic coverage wise or anything like that. They play a lot of the same stuff that Narduzzi's been playing for years. They're just very good. Like they teach it well. They're disciplined. They, for the most part, right? Like they're pretty disciplined with it, and that's why they, have success with it. I mean, I think they are going to get more. They're going to get more pressure than in a typical, situation because those guys can win, and the key will be, Carr's got to know like ball's got to be out.
Yeah,
like ball's got to be out by this certain time. Like you can't you can't wait for some of it. Some of it you got to throw. There's going to be more throws, I think, with anticipation in this game. And I think one of the things that stood out since the bye for me, I'm obviously play 2 bad pass defenses. So, you got to take it with a grain of salt a little bit. But he's been lights out and 0 turnover worthy plays. Like no one has come close to like even picking off a ball or anything like that since then. And, really for that was something that early on, like, he had some of those too, where like teams even dropped some that probably could have, hurt Notre Dame. So what Notre Dame wants to do is they want to be able to throw. They're going to take deep shots, obviously. You're going to attack, but you're going to have to attack the middle of the field a lot. You're going to have to attack the middle of the field, and You're going to have to do it with tight ends. You're going to have to do it with a slot. You're going to have to do a lot there. And vertically, like, they're going to give you shots, but you have to be in the right position to know when to take those shots. And they're not going to, they don't play man, right? They don't play man. Like, that's not their thing. So you have to know, like safety alignment and all that kind of stuff is going to be so important in deciding like whether or not like we're taking the shot here and we're taking the shot there. And pre-snap identifying blitz is coming. Like, that is huge. That is going to be huge in the game. So ultimately, I think a lot of pre-snap stuff is where Notre Dame needs to win.
Yeah. It's interesting how you solve problems from season to season, right? So the reason that teams couldn't be so the reason that teams could try to load the box against Notre Dame last year, but it didn't work as well, is because you had Riley Leonard and you've got his legs. And so that kind of changes the numbers, right? And so that really stresses teams in that kind of way. Whereas this year, they can now throw over the top of you. But you don't have the legs, but you can throw on top. And so it's interesting just from like how problems get solved from an offensive standpoint. Like, because I do look at, because the other part of this too, and that goes to the receivers that they have. Like, have you seen, like, Notre Dame, it was not a team that could really do a ton of, they did some of it, but not a ton of that max protection. We're going to go deep with our wideouts, because they didn't really have the wideouts to get over top of them. And I understand that, CJ Carr's definitely a better deep ball thrower than Riley Leonard, 100%. But you also like didn't have Malachi Fields, who can get over top of a corner like that. And then you don't have CJ Carr, who can put that ball over the top and into a bucket. I think people take that sort of thing for granted. It's like, oh, he's beaten. It's like, yeah, but that's a tough throw against air. Like, it's hard to.
Yeah, it's hard. Tough throw.
Yeah, it's hard to make that pass in that spot against, with no defense. And so it's just interesting to me how problems get solved when you change personnel and the type of personnel that you have that allows Notre Dame to be able to do that. I noted on the show yesterday with Power Hour, they've CJ Carr has hit more 20+ yard passes than Riley Leonard did all of last year. He's obviously done 9 games. Riley Leonard had 16 games. And in that way, it is kind of like the 2015 game with Pitt. And I know it's a different year, but Pitt tried to bring all these pressures, and it's like, well, we'll just throw over the top to Will Fuller. I feel like Pitt's got to be a little bit concerned about that. It's hard to bring a ton, because the other part is CJ Carr is very good at identifying pressure and getting the ball where it needs to go. That is one thing that people, the bad games that he's had is because he's been inaccurate.
Yeah.
It hasn't been because he's missed guys. And so, and when I miss guys, it's like he's not looking in the right place.
Well, and if you could even just watch highlights, you don't have to watch the actual game film, but just watch highlights of every passing touchdown that they give up. And a large percentage of them on anything that's deep is a post.
Mm-hmm.
Is a post or a post corner, because it's always manipulating the safeties and then getting into those situations. So a lot of the times too, you have to count on your guys have to beat a safety in coverage. And that's the thing, is like, because a lot of it, that corner's passing it off. He's going to pass off that guy to the safety. And I really think like Malachi Fields, especially because he's run a lot of those, posts and done it pretty well. You kind of like the matchup with him on a safety, like most of the time. And I would say too, like Will Pauling's going to beat most safeties. He's just faster than most guys. Faison too, which he hasn't done a lot of that from the field, but like I was actually thinking about that 2015 game a lot, Greg, because that was Mike Denbrock, right? That was Mike Denbrock, and that is a game that really sticks out in my mind of how like Notre Dame, where I thought, wow, this was like really like smart how they attacked them, because if you recall, like Will Fuller wasn't lined up in the slot very often at that time, But in that game, he was lined up in the slot a ton, like way more than usual.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'm gonna look at to see what the actual percentage was in that game. But
make your point. I'll check.
Oh, I seen it. Not a ton. 3 times. But when they but they threw it to him 3 times when he was there, right?
There was also one he scored a touchdown where it was kind of an invert. He started out, it was bunch. I remember specifically it was bunch, and then he inverted into a slot position where I think it was the tight end who came out. He inverted and he got one-on-one with a safety. So he wasn't in the slot on that play, but in reality he was, because he was covered by the safety on a corner route, which went for a touchdown.
And I think there's a lot of stuff like this could be a very big Mike Denbrock game, because I think it's like there's a lot of stuff you could do with like stack release stuff to kind of confuse them and get them there. They are playing quite a few young guys in the secondary that they've had. They've had a lot of injuries, and their linebackers are really good. They have undersized linebackers. They don't play a traditional nickel like that, which you don't see anywhere. And I'm wondering how like Notre Dame's going to take advantage of that and how that's going to look. But I think a huge key is like you're going to have a lot of first down passing success, because you don't want to get into situations like where I know they ate on 3rd and long in this game and they've done really well, but that's when they can do all the exotic stuff, right? Like,
right.
You don't want to get to that, because they're going to have like, they'll put like 2 defensive linemen on the field, and they'll put and they'll put like 3 linebackers, and they'll play it that way. Yeah.
And the good news is, it's like the weather's not going to be a disaster, you know. Like it has been the last couple of times when Notre Dame was playing. Obviously Navy, it was bad, and then USC, it was bad. So you're going to get a good weather game. I think it's a good, throw to set up the run kind of thing. And the other part too is like they're now giving the ball to Jeremiah Love in the passing game a little bit more, getting him on explosives, which I think is an important thing. And look at the fact that the O-line, like I think they need to keep getting reps. And this is a part of the team where it's like sometimes at 9 games into the season, a team's kind of baked into what they are, but it's kind of not true with Notre Dame's offensive line, because of the fact that they got to integrate Joe Otting a little bit more and got to integrate Sullivan Absher a little bit more. Like for them, it's just like game 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So it's like you're kind of in the middle of the season with some of these interior players. And the good part is Anthony Knapp's playing at a really high level, really good pass blocking grade against Navy. Emil Wagner is obviously pretty steady, and Gerby Lambert's getting there as well. So that's a big part of it. Anything on defense that you wanted to kind of highlight?
Well, I mean, I do think it was it's such a weird thing to be like, I don't think you can pick anyone out who like, man, they had a rough game against Navy, because it's just so different than you're going to see the rest of the year. So I think you can really like kind of only highlight guys who like played well. But I really thought like, and we talked about it a bit, how like Devontae Smith, what they used, like he was just really effective in that, and like played well there. Like, and frankly, I think it was probably just good to get him and have him, another kind of thing will gain some confidence, because guys barely played all year. So I think that was like an important thing to get him. I thought like, to get Armel Mukum, just to have a guy. I think Heinisch, I expect him to be back. I know he was listed as questionable because of concussion. Like we kind of talked about, I think they usually Tuesday is the day that they kind of like, well, we'll see if he's going to practice.
Right.
And if he's good, then he'll play. So Mukum might not be in the mix again too, but considering like, he's put in that situation, and he wasn't even the first up there. It was Seviano. I thought he played well, right? Like I thought he played well. I thought Burnham, like I think once again, and I know it's Navy, so it's not like the best thing, but Burnham was consistently playing behind the line of scrimmage the whole game. He got I think he had 4 pressures in the game. He had 5 in the previous game. So he's got 9 pressures in the last 2 games. I mean, he had 13 all of last year. Like, it's a big deal that he's like playing well and doing things.
I think that's a sleeper storyline for Notre Dame, honestly. Like for this upcoming game and like kind of if they were to go on the playoffs, like I think that's a pretty big storyline for Notre Dame, Josh Burnham.
Yeah, and I think one of the things too, because I know like Donovan Heinisch, and I speculated before, and they mentioned in somebody asked a question about him. I can't remember if it was Thursday or whatever. And basically Freeman is he's playing hurt.
He's playing hurt, yeah.
Which to me is obvious because he cannot tackle. Like he cannot finish right now. And he's been in a ton of position to make plays, but he's missed a lot of tackles in the backfield because I'm pretty sure he's like got a messed up shoulder or something, right? Like that is, hurting him in that way. Even though he's putting himself in a position and helping others make plays, but he's not the one finishing it. So I think like with Burnham is like, he's a guy who finishes plays a lot. Like he's a very good tackler. And I think, it wasn't a Boubacar game, obviously, because he didn't play, but like, totally agree with you. Like getting another guy there that they feel confident about. And I mean, I think overall they feel pretty good with their edges. Like they were pretty good with edges, right? But like, it's just one of these things too. Like you want to be able to just say, hey, we're going to ride the hot hand too. If somebody's like really playing well, this guy's going to get more snaps in this game.
And I like the senior part of it too.
Yeah.
I just think that matters, man. Like you got to get guys who have that, just like that urgency of that last year.
Well, he's got another year after this.
No, but just last year, but like an upperclassman kind of guy. Like there's just that kind of thing. Like
if you want to play in the league and you want to go, it's like it's now or never kind of thing.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like there's just something to that senior leadership kind of thing, and he's showing it. And I think it's just important for the defense. I'm just kind of shocked how good of a tackler Tate Johnson is.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a special ability he has. There's no reason for him to be a good tackler. He didn't play it in high school, barely. Last year, he spent a lot of time as boundary corner because they needed the bodies. He has 2 missed tackles all year. He's playing every game now.
Yeah.
I mean,
as a safety, that is insane, actually.
A free safety.
Yeah.
That's not normal, right? Like Xavier Watts was a attacker, but he would miss tackles early in his career. Tate Johnson just doesn't miss tackles. I mean, he flies up with venom. He flies up with urgency. He's sound. I'm just kind of shocked at it. Like the tackle that he makes. And here's the other part. He comes up and makes the run stops, right? And I put it on the Twitter machine. Makes the run stop on 3rd and short against the quarterback. Like the block destruction, makes the play. Runs the alley and makes the play on the quarterback there for a 1-yard gain. If you go back and watch the scramble by the quarterback, if Tate Johnson doesn't come over and make that tackle, it is going to be a touchdown. And it is going to, like, it's a total disaster. But he comes over and makes the tackle, and they force a field goal, and everything's kind of okay. Like, if he scores a touchdown there, granted, it would have happened with a bunch of time. Maybe Notre Dame is able to go down and score a touchdown. But it just, the feeling in the stadium would be like, did that really just happen? Like, did Notre Dame allow the Navy quarterback to scramble for 75 yards and score a touchdown, right? Like, that is the multiplicity of the plays that he makes. It's just kind of like, you couldn't predict it.
Yeah.
You couldn't predict it. And here we are again. Notre Dame has just another phenom safety that's going to come up. And
you got to give credit to Mike Mickens too.
100%.
No.
100%. It's like there's a whole different kind of skill set that he has. There was a question in here, or a comment, I should say. I'm going to go back and find it, about Notre Dame's secondary, and doesn't really trust it. Let me see. I got to go find it. Like, did you have a concern, I guess, with Notre Dame's secondary? Just like, do you trust it at this point? What are your feelings on Notre Dame's pass defense right now?
I mean,
just an ND sniper. Here we go. I'm still not 100% sold on our pass defense, to give credit.
I don't really know what else they got to do at this point. I could totally understand being like, well, Christian Gray's like, he's not healthy and he, didn't play great in the USC game, and he really, probably hasn't been healthy for a while or whatever. And that's, I can understand that part of it. But I don't know, like everything else is like because like it starts up front. The pass rush is way better. It's significantly better. And so that plays a big part in it. And I just think that like you have to be like incredibly deep at the skill positions to present a lot of problems for Notre Dame. And like USC is just in terms of just weapons, because I would even say like Tona Kynes is like a pretty good player. Like I think he's kind of showed like he's.
I mean, Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane. I mean, they're
good. But I mean, they're obviously awesome. But like, I just mean like as a third guy, like he's actually like a pretty good player. Like and I think he is going to be a good player for them, going forward too. But it's like, and then they got the 2 tight ends and whatever. They got a lot of weapons. Like Pitt has some weapons. It's not on the same level. And, when you get to like, so of course, Ohio State gives
different conversation.
It's a totally different conversation, but like, I don't know, like the Indiana's weapons, for example, who are most of the same guys from last year. I think they're good players. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're going to scare. I wouldn't say like I'm giving them the edge over Notre Dame secondary. I think you don't see like you saw the one bust in the BC game where they gave up the one thing to the they had that trips bunch and the tight end leaked out or whatever in the flat, and they screwed that up, and that was with the freshman. So if Christian Gray doesn't play, if he's like actually not good and they can't whatever, and then it's like you're playing with Zachary and guys who haven't played as much, then I'd be like, I'd be a little worried about that. But even that happened once in the game. It wasn't like a frequent thing. You don't see the mistakes that they made before. They got a bunch of good players. Chris Ash is calling it way better than they were. I mean, they literally went from like 130th in EPA per drop back to now they're top 40. Like, so if you took it from like the time that they were that, they played like a top 15 to 20 pass defense at that time. So I would say like, I don't know what to be so worried about. Like, and they have given up, as Justin pointed out, they have given up explosives, but like, if you look at like, they've given up a lot of 20-yard passes. First of all, a lot of them came early in the year where they was like really, really bad.
Yeah.
But in terms of like 30-yard up, they're like one of the best at not giving up that. Because they don't give up like the Jacoby Lane play, like, long touchdown. Other than that, think of another one they've given up since the Purdue game where they've given up a long 30.
Well, they haven't. I mean the NC State one where Dallas Golan
that's another
loses in one-on-one.
But that is like over that many games, like that's not a lot.
Yeah, like they can't have given up too much because they're not giving up a ton of points. So there's that part,
exactly
right. So I will to play devil's advocate on this for ND Sniper is like I do think I want to be fair to Chris Ash here. I do think there are times when he doesn't have a good feel for what they need to be in, and it's like it's not really like again, over a course of a season, you're calling all these series and you have like a bad series and like that's like the BC game where they have a bunch of kind of long receptions in succession when you're playing man on one and then you're playing zone on a couple other ones. Sometimes you lose, and then sometimes you just don't play the zone the right way. I think that's where it's like there are just times when it looks leaky, to his point. And I don't want to completely dismiss it because it's happened enough to where it's like I do get a little bit leery of like, should Notre Dame be in this? Maybe get out of zone. Like, stop playing so much zone. Like, I mean, we said it against BC. Now, what did it lead to, right? Didn't lead really anything. It led to 10 points that BC scored. So you could look at the end result and say, well, is that really a big deal? But in the moment, you think to yourself, that guy's open. Like, he's standing by himself. So like I kind of understand the sentiment. It's just one of those things that I think there are times we could have had this conversation last year. But we know the end result. And so in hindsight, we say to ourselves, hey, like they were lights out. If Notre Dame continues to play like they've been playing at the end of the season, we'll say they're totally good. Like, they're fine. And, but there are moments when you get a little nervous. Like, I understand that piece. The numbers have greatly improved, to your point, greatly improved. I think that the other part too is that they have figured out the personnel. Like you said, the Luke Talich, like the way that they now employ him and they implement him is like they just do a very good job with getting Luke Talich involved, and he's very good at what they're asking him to do. Tay Johnson has taken the defense to another level. Adon Schuler, it had a rough start to the year. He's now kind of back to what he was last year. You feel very confident about him. Leonard Moore is back. Christian Gray, who, missed 2 games because he was so unhealthy against USC, he missed the next 2 games after a bye.
Yes.
Like, that's how not healthy he was, right? He's essentially missed 3 weeks. So there's that piece of it. And to your point, now they have Josh Burnham back, and so he's playing at a higher level. I think they've figured out a whole bunch of other things. So, I will play devil's advocate for Justin and how he's felt at times. There is also like a bulk of evidence that shows they are much better than they were to start the year, and they've really got things figured out. Chris Ash is not making the perfect calls at all the right times, but he's made enough during the course of the last 7-8 games to where we can say, okay,
I don't think he's doing the same job that where Al Golden, it just seemed like he just had his hand on the pulse for pretty much most of the year, right? Like,
but he's had he had the experience.
Yeah, the experience. I do think that I think it's one of those things where it's like they're just not. I don't know. To me, I'm like, there's nothing that I would. Is it elite? No, it's not elite. It's not as good as it was last year. It's still they've become very good.
Yeah. And it could get to elite, right? We'll see. If they have a great performance against Pitt and they're throwing the ball all over the place, like, what can you say? You did it against Arkansas, who throws the ball all over the place. You did it to some extent against USC. Obviously, they got at points, but like Makai Lemon doesn't really do anything in the game. So like there's
teams also just stop throwing to Leonard Moore against Leonard Moore,
right? Makai Lemon, or no, I'm sorry, not Makai Lemon. NC State, like they've thrown the ball all over the place. Just destroyed Georgia Tech. Didn't do that against Notre Dame. So 1 year of Chris Ash is not as good as the multiple years of Al Golden. It wouldn't be as good as 100 years. If you've been doing something for 100 years and you've had a recipe of success for 100 years, you would count on that, right? That's what you get with Goods Candies, Jamie. The small Indiana-based chocolate companies, their recipes do go back 100 years. If you got something you've been doing for 100 years, you know it's going to be quality. They are a small batch producer of decadent confections ranging from toffee to cream centers to their latest offering, peanut butter bombs Forrest Gump said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. With Goods Candies, they want you to know what you're getting. Its cream centers have a unique design. You'll always know what's waiting inside. All varieties are offered in milk and dark chocolate. For our business listeners, Goods Candies offers customized chocolate bar gift boxes. These aren't customized wrappers like you get at the bank. These are customized chocolate bars that can include your logo or a message. These make the ideal client gift, and Goods Candies can handle all shipping for you. The website is www.goodscandies.com. Viewers can save 20% through the year with the promo code ISD. Place your order online or reach out to Goods Candies at goodscandies.com with questions. Do you worry about the tempo from Pitt?
Yes.
It's a big one for me.
Yeah, I think it is something because it just always one, I think like if you look at like the USC game, obviously they came out that way, but that gave them problems in that game. And I trusted that they would have got a better handle on it later on, but it's like, and it's a little different. And this is how it's different because USC, they don't use that as much. And it's so when they come out and they do it like that, it's not like it's a bit unexpected.
It's not something they can do over the course of a game.
Yes. And because if they play that way, it's like the offense isn't used to playing that way.
Yeah. You're going to get inefficient at some point.
And it actually kind of cost them later on the drive because they jumped because they weren't set and whatever. Right?
Yeah.
But this is how Pitt plays. So they're going to be used to it. At the same time, so you're worried about it a little bit, but at the same time, it's the whole thing you're preparing for the whole week. Is this tempo? Is like we got to be on top of this in terms of your like substitution patterns, who's playing when, and like all of that. Like it's important, right? And then also too, the other thing is like you got to know, like, God, I can't remember which game it was. Was it the US? I think it was the USC game where they did like the late sub and they did the, you get the 10 seconds to sub.
Yeah.
And you do it. So every single time they do that, you got to have a guy ready and to do that 10-second sub and throw the arms out. And you just, you take your sweet time getting off the field and getting into set because you got the 10 seconds and make them wait for it because it throws them off every single time. Should never you got to know what rules that that work for you and do that. So I thought it was a really good job by Notre Dame in that situation. I think they'll be more ready for it this time around, but it is something that I think, if you're not prepared, I think you can get bitten.
I just feel like Notre Dame always kind of struggles with it. And the fact that they do it over and over again is or the fact that this is what their normal operation is, that makes me nervous. But does it make you, it makes me nervous on they're going to get Notre Dame on a drive. I just feel like if you're playing fast, I just don't know when you're not as good, I guess is a better way to put it. When you're not the better team and you're playing fast, it's just like, shortening the game like that and giving Notre Dame more chances to play against you, I feel like is not what you want, You can
find yourself down really early.
Right. And that's kind of the thing too. And not just that, but Notre Dame can also lean on you. And so it's just, it just kind of like a bad formula. It's like, it's almost like you want to use it to get a lead if you can, and then kind of slow it down. Do they have the capability of doing that? I don't know, but it concerns me on they're going to get Notre Dame on a drive. It doesn't necessarily concerns me as like, that's how they're going to actually win the game is kind of how I think about it. Do you have a kind of thought on that?
Yeah, no, I think it's more of that, like on a specific drive where it's like I think of like it's not the same because it wasn't how they ran it, but like that one Navy drive where they scored the touchdown.
Yeah.
It's like, and it happens to every defense. It doesn't matter. This isn't like a shot at Notre Dame's defense. It's just they get it going and you're on tilt and it's hard to get out of that. And it's the only really way to get out of it is someone's got to make a play and to slow it down. So, but can they get a drive going where it's, where I think they'll probably get a couple drives like that, where it's probably looking like, but the key is like make a play to get a stop to slow it down. And then because when if it's second and short, then you can go up on the ball too. But if it's second and 13, you're not rushing to get on the ball. You're just not, right? So it's that kind of stuff. And that's why like something like KVA is like super important in this game, and he's super important every game. But like, he's the guy that just all of a sudden, like that play where he's blowing up the fullback and all that. Like those kind of plays matter a lot. They really do.
Which is you're just not accustomed to that kind of physicality, that kind of ability. I mean, talk about, Notre Dame's not used to Navy's speed and, how quickly they play. Well, Navy's not really used to someone beating their fullback to the spot and knocking him 5 yards back. And then that also runs into the quarterback who, like, they're also not used to that. It's not a thing that teams face all the time. And so like Pitt, for that example, like they're not used to the types of players that Notre Dame has. And that makes it difficult. I always think of it in terms of like just the odds, right? Like if you went to practice, right? If you gave up offense like Pitt, just like without a score, it's like 10 possessions in practice. Pitt scored on 2 of them, 2 of 10 possessions. You would say, great practice. Or like, two touchdowns in a field, you would think that's a great practice. Like defense won the day.
Yeah.
Right. Because Pitt is good enough on. Sometimes you play a team that's just like good enough on offense in the manner in which they play offense. USC is like this as well. The manner in which they play offense is like they're going to move the ball just on anyone. It doesn't matter who it is. But it's like if you get stops at the right time, if you get stops in the right kind of way, force turnovers and that sort of thing, you can have a lopsided game. But it's like when you play teams like Navy, for example, when you play teams like Pitt, when you play teams like USC, and the way that they play offense, you got to be okay with some bad series. And I think that's kind of how I
do. Well, and one thing so with Mason Heinchel, who's basically turned around their season, right? Because they're 5-0 since he played, and they're averaging 40 points a game. Like they're doing it, but they played bad defenses. The best defense they played is Florida State, and Florida State, I think people kind of know that like things have fallen apart there. It's not going good. They won 5 in a row. The only team with a winning record is NC State, who's 5-4, right? And they put up a ton of points on NC State, but NC State's defense is bad. Like everybody knew that. Everyone who watched the Notre Dame game knew they were bad. Like they're not a good defense. So I don't know. It's going to be like, that is the one thing that like, if I was from a Pitt's perspective, you're thinking like, well, it's different. Like they're not good up front. They don't have a good offensive line. And that is a problem. And it is a freshman quarterback who has been good, and he plays super confident, and he's just like a tough kid, but he takes too many hits. He's been sacked 16 times in the last 5 games. He has a really high turnover-worthy play percentage. Notre Dame picks off the ball a lot.
Better than anyone in the nation.
Better than anyone in the thing. And it does matter because they do it. It's for a reason. So you'd have to think that there's a really good chance that Notre Dame's going to get to him and pick the ball off at least once or twice in this game. So, and those could end up being huge.
Yeah. It could give you free points.
Yeah.
And like, you take free things. Pickleball is free. H2 Pickleball membership is free. You can get a free thing from that as well. And we like free things. Subscribing to this show is free. That's free. Hitting the like button is free. But you can take advantage of the free stuff being offered by Pickleball with H2 Pickleball. Founded by Notre Dame alum Todd Hill. He's teaming with fellow alums Jack Gibbs and Will Howes, who's a top 10 pickleball pro, to bring Notre Dame fans to Notre Dame Pickleball Crew League. Besides football, what better way to connect and engage Notre Dame fans than through pickleball? Membership is free, and members will have access to special pickleball events and discounts. The next event will be a Will Howes Pickleball Clinic on the Friday before the Syracuse game. Members can also get the discounted tickets to the game, to the Syracuse game. Contact Todd at h2pickleball.com or call him at 574-339-5195 to join the league. Be sure to visit the H2 Pickleball facility in Mishawaka when you are in town. H2 Pickleball is located at 55801 Evergreen Plaza Drive in Mishawaka, Indiana. A college football playoff committee selection show tonight. Think Notre Dame goes up to 9 with BYU losing?
I think they will. I think what's most likely to happen is BYU will drop to like 12 and be like above Utah because they beat Utah like recently. Like that was recently. So I think that's probably what's most likely going to happen. But I don't because the way that Texas Tech beat them, like they beat them down, like they dominated that game.
They didn't score to the middle of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, so I just think that based on that, I think that's what's most likely going to happen, and I just don't see I don't think any of the teams behind did enough to jump up. Like I know Vandy won. They came back and won. That's great. But like it was against Auburn. Also, Vandy's defense is sneakily pretty terrible. Like their offense is good, obviously. You know, Chad Powers is leading the way. Like, but their defense is terrible. Clark Lee, come on, man. It's like what, year 5? Get that defense going, man. But I'm a little surprised actually that they're not just better. I think it's just talent. They don't have the talent. But like again, year 5, develop some guys. They should be in a better spot. But I think that no one else there, because all of those ACC teams are going to drop. I am really interested to see what they do with Miami, and if Miami like moves above, Virginia, let's say, because they should move above Virginia.
Well, why? Miami, Virginia beat them. I'm making a joke.
Yeah. I just think they're better than Virginia, and they have the same record.
It is a thing. See, here's the thing. Losing games is important. It's a big deal. And so sometimes when you lose, you open yourself up to other things like, are you actually good? You know, it's kind of like BYU, right? It's like everyone knows BYU is dropping out behind all the 2-loss teams, right? Well, when you lose, people start to look at other things like, are you actually good at football? And they start to look at the other games and stuff. This is why I said, like, you could have like if Notre Dame beat Navy, 21-10 or whatever, 21-17 or something. That's kind of like, well, I don't know. It's Notre Dame. It's like,
I think Notre Dame would have dropped if that would happen.
Yeah, they would, but they won 49-10.
Yeah.
So, the way you beat teams matters. The way you play matters. You always have the ability to show yourself. You can always make them put you in the right spot. And like, that's the thing. It's funny how like the ACC, they're coming out with this like campaign now. They're putting out all these tweets.
Oh my God.
I mean, Notre Dame's like a partner of theirs. Not only that, they're members of the conference in like every other sport. And the ACC is like
it's so unbecoming.
And not just that, but like the ACC is now lobbying against Notre Dame, right? Well, what if And like, this is gonna. I just prepare yourself. What if the penalties are like 12 Notre Dame, Pitt 2? Like, obviously, there's something. You were tweeting anti-propaganda against Notre Dame during the week. Like, it just opened yourself up to that sort of allegation. And why wouldn't you?
Tyler Borgman, I got news for you. Oh, first of all, everybody knows my thoughts on Diego Pavia.
Yeah.
But get Pivak getting on the phone. It's not going to make a difference. They'll just do it anyways. Like if that's already happening, like it's going to happen. And it's just, I mean, any kind of close call, they should not expect to go Notre Dame's way.
Yes.
Which is why Notre Dame you have to win convincingly enough for it not to be a thing. But I mean, even against the USC, it's not even an ACC opponent. That was like, there was a lot of that, which and I'm sure you probably heard this because in Southern California, but like the USC fans were complaining about the refs in that game. What?
Yeah.
They got one flag the whole game. Like, what are you talking about? That was ridiculous.
I think there was like some holdings that they let go that they didn't like.
Oh no, like that happens every game.
Well, it happened for both teams, and so from Matt McCarthy, what players on Pitt would you take in the portal if they were to enter?
Oh, sorry, Matt. I know you. He asked earlier about defensive tackle. Who's a Nick James? You know what? Nick James, he's too small, man. He's a small guy. Like, they have really small defensive tackles. Like, I'm talking, they're 280. So it's like everybody complains about Donovan Heinisch. It's like you're gonna take guys where like Donovan Heinisch is a better player than him, and that's the guy that you want. So he would be a no for me. I know they have another guy who's an undersized guy. What's his face? Brayu, who's a good player. Francis Brayu, like he's an undersized kid too, but he's like super explosive, and he would be a guy. But I mean, he's a undergrad guy that I doubt would whatever, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on another roster, not Pitt's next year, if that's what's going to happen. I mean, I don't know if like Pitt, like, first of all, if Notre Dame takes any kid from Pitt, it's going to be like a headache that Pat Narduzzi will never stop talking about it. Like for like the next 12 months. It will be a massive thing. And I'm not saying that they wouldn't take somebody if they get a chance, because of course they would. I don't know. I think they got some good DBs, some young DBs, but a lot of the guys that I like on their team are like young guys that like. So you're going to take them. Is that guy really that much better than like Dallas Golden is going to be next year? Like you have to look at all that.
I would not take a DB ever.
Yeah, so it's like you look at some
Unless
of that
like
kind of stuff, like
maybe, but
like I don't know. Really, to be honest, there's no one who really stands out as like a guy that I would think, hey, this is a great fit. Like where that guy would be a great fit. I will say, Cruz Brookins, not Bruce Crookins. Cruz Brookins is his name. It seems like a Key Peel sketch, but that's his real name. He's a good ball player. He's a good ball player, safety, but he's a young guy too. But he's a good ball player.
The thing is I think Notre Dame might just be out of the DB market next year. You can get Gray back. You can get Leonard Moore. Obviously, you get Leonard Moore back. Dallas Golden and Mark Zachary, like they've shown enough to me. They just have to get bigger. If they just get bigger and stronger, I think they're good. Tay,
yeah,
you're not getting him out of the lineup. Like I think Lutalich has shown enough.
I don't think Schuler's going to go.
I don't think Schuler's going anywhere. Where's he going?
No, he's not going to be a high pick. So
yeah, he's not a high pick. And plus, like you've got guys behind him. Plus, and then you have Kari Adams and Joey O'Brien coming in.
Yeah,
like you don't want to take a 5th-year guy from wherever and take snaps away from Joey O'Brien and Kari Adams. Like that's a no from me.
And the young guys who aren't even playing on the roster too are like
they like Creed Thomas
and Ethan Long and Jadon Blair. Like there's talent.
Yeah,
there's talent. So they, I don't think they really need to. Where they're at, I'm not sure if they have to unless they just really look specifically for a nickel because they say, Golden, we want you to play outside.
Maybe that's possible, but I think I don't know. They must like him. It's possible on a nickel. It's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's just you can get good value there. You can get a good player. Go ahead.
Sorry, but I just wanted to say because he mentioned Lewis, the linebacker, because they have really good linebackers too.
Yeah.
But their guys are I think going to the league. Like the guys that you would any school would want to add. I'm actually kind of surprised that those guys didn't get poached this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like both those guys, like Biles and Lewis, like they're really good. They're very good.
Who are you going to take snaps from?
No, exactly. You're not going to. That's the thing. Is like, and you look at how Notre Dame's recruited too, and you're like, okay, so are these guys gonna? Yeah.
They're just if you're going to come in, they want to play like every snap. Right?
They want to play every snap, and it's like,
it's like you're not. You're definitely not. You're not even going to start. You're going to start Drake. You're gonna kick your captain. No, you're not starting now. Like no way. And obviously KVA, Jaden Osbury, Manfremo. We'll see what happens to Jalen Sneed. I just, I don't know. That's not a thing. And here's the other part, right? And people are talking about Hollywood Smothers and all this other stuff. Aeneas Williams monitoring, right? Like if he's going to look like that, I don't know. He ran like he wants to be on the roster. And maybe he's running like he wants to show other teams, and I'm sure there's multiple angles to that. Maybe he just wants to run hard because he's a running back, and that's what running backs do. But it's like he looks good. We know they like Nolan James. I don't know. I know what the thing I'm very certain of, they're going to take some wideouts. They have to. Micah Gilbert getting hurt like assures that, actually.
I think they'll take at least one wideout, but I don't think it'll be. It won't be the same as like where I think they took two guys that it's like of the level of Fields and
Paul. Well, because everyone's talking about Jaden Greathouse, right? He's definitely going to come back. Well, I mean, he's going to be monitoring the portal, right? If Notre Dame grabs a Will Pauling type again.
Well, if they do that, then he would leave. But
right.
they'll only do that, I think, if they think that he's gonna go, right? Like I think that's really going to will be the deciding factor.
Yeah. So we're monitoring that whole situation, the portal and everything. We can edit there. Thank you everyone for tuning in today. If you like what you heard, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. So whatever it is, we are going live. We'll be back on Thursday with a full Pitt preview and some updates from Marcus Freeman on injuries and all those other things. We'll see if Donovan Heinisch is ready to go. So have a good rest of your day. Happy Veterans Day to all those veterans out there. Again, thank you for your service. We will talk to you on Thursday. Keep hitting and hustling.